So from the Japan Randonneur 8 via Ide, Ben Dodge, the bike accident attorneys team, Colin Arnold, another day in paradise. He's obviously out here not to race, but to have a vacation. Carl Gady from Tutapona, and Lacey Jones from Love, Sweat, and Gears. So thank you all for taking a few minutes out of your day to sit here, and we'll get you back to doing things more important than talking to me. But we'll get this started. So hi, Maya, good to see you. We're super happy to see you. This is your first RAAM racing, but you have crewed. So, and you brought over an all-rookie team, I believe?
Yes, and if you could actually notice their ages, they're quite younger than me.
They're quite younger than you? But you're pulling all the weight, so they're just here to hang out, and they're making you do the hard stuff.
Right, like renting cars.
So how did you convince all these 7 other people to come over here and race with you?
Well, actually, they convinced me to come over as a racer to RAAM, because I think that they felt that more Japanese should come, and you don't have to be a billionaire, because if you are a solo racing here in RAAM from Japan, sometimes it gets prohibitively expensive. But if you come here as an 8-member team, then you can have all people from different age groups, and you don't have to be a billionaire, and yet you can race across America, and that's just wonderful.
And it's pretty cool. So they're all rookies, but you all have a randonneuring background,
Yes.
which is not.
Yes.
Randonneurs like to say they don't race, but they do. They race. They ride very fast, but you all have a little bit of a long distance riding background.
We all are, of course, finishers of Paris Press Paris, and many other over 1,200-kilometer races. No, randonneuring. Right.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much. And Mr. Ben Dodge. So Ben, I think. Well.
Good morning.
You're the only one, I think, with RAAM experience here. We have a little bit of raw experience down the table, but you're the only one with RAAM experience. And last time it was an 8-person team.
Yes, sir.
So what got you to shrink your team to 4 and bring the fellows back?
That's a good question. So I did Ross solo. That's what got me into this whole thing. That stupid race was so fun.
You figured a team was a much smarter way to
that's
go.
a much better way to do it. So I did the 2-man RAAM in 2019, I believe, with one of my teammates here this year. His name's Tom. He's over there. And that was epic. That was fantastic. And then we did that 8-man team two years ago, and that was just a fun experience. This time around, I wanted to put together a team, and this sounds, I know what it's going to sound like, but
well, let's hear it.
We want to win, and we want to win everything if we can. So we put together a 4-man team that we're really trying to get after it this year. And so the 4 guys have been hand selected for that purpose. They're amazing. They're amazing athletes, but they're more incredible people, which is super cool. So this 4-man team is all friends, all local from my hometown in Arizona, and we're just here to have a great time.
And that is kind of one of the cool things about teams is, you know, a solo racer, while you have a support crew behind you, you're kind of, you know, it's you and you're bearing the weight of the riding. Whereas a team, you kind of get to share the social aspect with friends, you know, families, co-workers, whatever it may be, and that's kind of a cool thing to do. And I think you're one of the very few people to actually do all divisions of RAAM. There's not very many of them out there.
I have one left.
One left. You're coming back for it, right?
Yeah, I got the green light from the missus, so it's just picking the year now. Possibly next year we'll go for it.
Don't go without permission because it never ends well.
Correct.
And Colin next to you. Colin. So Colin is riding for, kind of in memory of one of the great early days RAAM riders, and Bob Breedlove. It's Another Day in Paradise. That's where the team name came from.
Yes, it is. It's one of Dr. Bob's favorite sayings. It's Another Day in Paradise. And if you take the first character of each of those words, it's an Iowa dip, and we're all from Iowa.
That's actually pretty good. Oh, you are all from Iowa.
All of the riders are from Iowa. The crew is, we have crew from Germany, the Netherlands, Texas, the East Coast, the West Coast, and in between.
Well, either they really like you or they really like Mr. Breedlove, one of the two. Because Bob was a pretty special guy, you know, sad that he's gone. And he actually was killed during RAAM in a pretty terrible accident, and it was pretty well known. But Bob really did never have a bad day. Like, he truly was a good man.
He was excellent. His reputation, both as a surgeon and as a bicycle rider, is well known. It was a sad day, obviously, when we lost Dr. Bob. He sponsored our race team in Des Moines Orthopedic Surgeons race team, the traditional bicycle race team, and that's how I become involved in this sport. And on our team is Tom Buckley, who's finished RAAM 3 times as a solo rider and is also had ridden with Dr. Bob.
Yeah, he has. And I think he raced just a couple of years ago on a team as well.
Just last year.
Oh yeah, that's right. They get a little blurry after a while.
After this many years, I'll bet you like, huh?
Yeah, it gets a little confusing, but you know, the whole thing with Bob, of course, that happened the year my father was racing a 2-person team, so it was before we owned the race, and it was such big news. And it kind of impacted the race a lot, and it changed a lot of things about how things were approached. So it's good to see you back representing Bob and his positivity and just loving the sport and people and being super supportive. So Mr. Carl Gady's up next.
Good morning.
And Carl's bringing a whole rookie team over here as well. This is a new adventure for you.
Yes, we are all rookies. Our entire crew and riders have never participated in RAAM before.
So what lured you to RAAM? Because it's not just an easy thing to roll up to, as you've probably experienced so far.
So the whole reason why we're doing this is to raise awareness and to raise support for an organization that I work for called Tutapona International. And so we're super excited about using this as a platform to raise awareness for the people that we serve around the world.
And that's great. That's one of the things that has been a pretty common thing. A lot of racers do raise money for charities now, and collectively teams have been raising about $2.5 million a year. So it's much, while we all sit here and really love to ride our bikes, it's a pretty selfish pursuit. But a lot of people have found a great way to give back, you know, to the sport, to other people, to encourage them to ride. So it's great to see you here. I'm glad you rallied the troops, and we'll get back to that in a minute here. We'll see how you did that. And then Lacey way down there.
Good morning.
So Lacey has kind of an interesting experience. While you are a RAAM rookie, you're not really a raw rookie, but you had a pretty rough raw. And I'm sorry to bring it up because it's probably not the best of memories for you. But you're back. You fought back, and you're here. So that says a lot. So what got you? Like, why? Why are you back? We're happy to have you. You know, it's a good thing to do. But you know, it was a rough raw. So.
Yeah, you could say that. So for those of you guys that don't know, in 2021, my team, they're here today. We took on RAW, and unfortunately, when we passed Parker, Arizona, I was struck by a semi-truck, and I was on my bike. Oh, sorry, can you hear me now? Yeah. So I was struck by a semi-truck outside of Parker, Arizona, and unfortunately I had to leave the race because of my injuries. I was airlifted out, and after some time in surgery and rehab and rehabilitation, you know, we decided 2023 was our year, and we are coming back with a vengeance to finish what we should have done 2 years ago. So it was definitely a challenging experience, but we are back because we are determined to do this together and finish as a team. So we will be in Annapolis and crossing that line.
Well, there's no doubt you have great guidance from Julie Lyons and the Love, Sweat, and Years group, and you also have phenomenal athletes, so I have no doubt we'll be standing on the stage together, and hopefully that is a much better memory than the previous experience for you.
Absolutely, thank you.
So back to you, Maya. So when you got, so you're also a race director of one of our qualifying races, or you helped put the race together, Race Around the Mountain.
Thank you so much, and especially to Fred for allowing me to organize the qualifier in Japan. It's the first ever qualifier in Japan, and we have a 650 kilometer, and a 1,000 kilometer. And the people you see in my team, they actually raced in my qualifiers as one of the many teams that did. And this is such a fantastic sport because of all that teamwork that's involved. And in my qualifier, they get to experience the aspects of RAAM which you could never experience outside of, if you were just randomly, you just ride alone. But it really takes a lot of teamwork effort to make it to the goal. And I've actually organized these qualifiers for 3 consecutive years, and more people are experiencing what RAAM's like. And I hope in the future more Japanese will be coming.
Well, we've started to see more and more Japanese because we had one Japanese racer quite a few years ago, and then we had nothing for a while. And now we're starting to see more and more. It also happened in India, the same thing. We had no Indian racers, and now you start to see more and more. So you know how fun and not fun it is to put on a race.
Right.
So are you happy to be on the other end of racing with your friends?
Definitely, and I think that's the expectation of an organizer, that you are yourself a bicycle rider, because you really can't organize a bicycle event unless you yourself are a bicyclist, right?
It is. It changes a lot how you approach things. So I never got to race RAAM because we bought the race because we thought it was a good idea. I did crew it, and it's exceptionally difficult, and I've raced several of our qualifiers, and I think it's also one of the great things that I hope you all get to experience, and I expect you will, is getting to stand on stage with George Thomas, our announcer. So George is actually out racing a 2-person team right now, and we let him go early, and the only reason we did that is because he asked me, I really want to announce, so I want to share the finish line. He says, if I can't start early and finish and be there to announce, I don't want to race. So I hope you get to enjoy that experience with George, because he really knows what you will go through out there. So it's so cool that you have brought all your people here, and we're super thankful, and we hope Racer on Mori continues to grow and be fantastic.
Thank you so much.
All right, Ben. So you got these guys together from your hometown to race.
Yes, sir.
How do you approach it compared to, 2-person's a really different event, and 8-person's really, they're very different things. And 4-person, surprisingly, everyone's like, oh, 8-person teams are so much faster. It's not always true. So how are you kind of approaching that mentality? Have they all raced before? I know Tom has.
Yeah, so Tom has raced 2-man with me. Jaime has raced 8-man with me. And then our old man, Gary, is a rookie.
Oh, give him the crappy sections.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's coming yet. But I swear he's the fastest one of all of us. It's just ridiculous. He's amazing. He's got 14 abs and muscles coming out of everywhere.
Oh, perfect. So send him up Wolf Creek.
Yeah.
Send him up the Appalachians.
He's just a beast. Our strategy is Gary. No. Yeah, he's just a beast. No, we're just very excited. It's a different thing to think about. It really is. Participating is amazing and it's wonderful, and that's been probably the sum of my RAAM experiences. And this time around, to try to do something differently and put a strategy together to win is kind of foreign. And so we played with lots of ideas, but yeah, the 4 of us are gonna split into 2-man teams is how we're gonna do it, and we're gonna go 8 hours on, 8 hours off.
Yeah, and that is a pretty different strategy. When you're racing to win, it's very different than racing to finish. And both are great goals, and finishing should be anyone's ultimate goal. But
absolutely, yeah.
When you get out there, and again, you've experienced it. You had, I think the 1 mile team was all rookies except for you, right?
Yeah. and some of them hadn't even ridden 100 miles before.
And you did, but you did pretty well.
We did okay.
Yeah,
I think so. I think we did okay.
Everyone stayed together. You didn't look like you wanted to kill anyone at the end, so that was good.
No, we had a great time. We had a great crew. In fact, some of them are such friends of ours that I think half of our crew is from that 2 years ago, that 1 mile experience. The other half of our crew is from our 2-man experience. And so we got a very seasoned crew, which is fun, and just the friendships that happen around an event like this. So huge thanks, by the way, for these kind of events, because you form relationships with other teams, your own team, your crew. It's just awesome,
I appreciate that, and it is. I was doing an interview with some press in Annapolis earlier today, right before you guys showed up, and she's asked me, she goes, well, are you really happy when everyone finishes? I said, of course, that's, it's hard for us to enjoy the race as organizers while it's going on, because you're all out there and we want everyone to get there safely. But one of the greatest feelings is to bring people like you together, to have people from all over the world get to meet each other, and it has grown into such a sizable, I mean, it truly is a family. You walk away and you're like, hey, all of a sudden I know all these people that I didn't know before.
And internationally, like the other countries that host these kind of events. You remember Arnaud from France? Yeah, so we're still friends because I did the Race Across France with him. Well, not with him, but yeah, I did a two-man team there too.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the friendship is still there, just from meeting him as a race director. It's just super cool world to be a part of. The ultra cycling community is awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm, thankful that you're here. I'm thankful you're all here, because you'll find that if it's not this race, there's another race or another person that maybe you just go somewhere and they're there and you get to go for a ride with them. And it does create one giant worldwide family. And if people ask me what I like most about it, that really is what it is I get to see all these people from all over the world come to participate and come to the United States and be part of things.
And to suffer.
Well, I like watching that a little bit.
I love that part too.
Some people more than others.
So I have a funny story about Nicole. So Nicole Rice.
Right, so people who don't know who Nicole Rice is, she is a fabulous bike racer from Switzerland, and was racing neck and neck for an overall win last year. And she somehow injured her hip and her abdomen, but still managed to cross the finish line and was amazing.
Yeah, she doesn't even know my name, I'm sure. I mean, I can't hold her wheel if I wanted to. She is phenomenal. But in 2016, when I was doing solo raw, she was doing solo raw or RAAM. I don't remember. It must have been RAAM. And it was going up the climb right before the glass elevator, and she was nearly passed out on the side of the road. This was before she was a rock star. I don't know what happened that day or that year. And I remember
she learned.
Probably, right? Yeah. And I remember this is one of the cool things about this kind of event is our crew just jumped in there with ice and water and kind of left me alone, like, hey, go up the hill, you'll be fine, let's help this person. And it happened to be Nicole, who later, turned out to be one of the world's best ultra cyclists, right? Like I said, she has no idea who I am. I don't even know if she remembers that story. But what I love is that feeling that everybody has. Like, no matter what happens with all these teams out there, I'm positive they'll all help each other, right? And it's just so cool.
It's a race, but everybody wants to see everyone do well. Absolutely. And it's fine. Like, it's a long race too. You're not going to lose it by stopping to help someone. And Colin, speaking of Race Across the West, and I think you also did Race Across Italy? Did you go? Oh, you did not?
No.
I'm sorry, I'm confused, but you have done 6 Raws.
Yes, I have. Well, not quite 6.
Not quite. You participated in 6.
I too had a helicopter ride. And, after the helicopter ride, I told my wife I'm done. She said I was done. So a few months later, Alan Johnson contacts me and says, hey, I need a rider for Team Raw. And I thought about it, and I thought about it. And then I did probably one of the smartest things of my life. I usually decide and then ask for forgiveness. I decided at this point, I better ask for permission first. She said, as long as you don't ride the glass elevator.
Ah, yeah, see?
That was the condition. Now, since then, I have ridden the glass elevator, and she's fine with that. She asked me one day, this was earlier this spring, why don't you ride to the top and then ride back down? So I did.
How was it?
Riding to the top was interesting. Riding down was interesting.
Was it a little jittery for you? Was it?
There, one of the things about not being in a race, you don't feel it's necessary to ride at race speed. And certainly, that made it feel better, but in reality, and at the first time I was down, I thought, I wonder if I'll remember where I crashed at. Nope, no idea whatsoever.
Yeah, I remember that year, unfortunately. Well, we remember things like that. We wish we didn't, but it helps you learn too, and it's one of those things, for those of you that don't know the glass elevator, So you leave the beach here and you ride up over a mountainous thing, kind of Palomar, and then you descend into Borrego Springs, and that long, very fast descent is the glass elevator. And it is a wonderfully beautiful and tricky descent. It can be windy, there can be some gravel up there, so it's one of those things like you're not going to win the race in that descent.
Oh, definitely not going to win.
But you can definitely lose the race. So what made you decide to make the jump to RAAM?
Okay.
I'm sure the wife approved.
Yeah, she definitely approved. Actually, a long story. In 21, there was a group of us that rode a four-person RAW, and one of our riders, David Ertl, maintains a list of what he calls his bucket list. Not bucket list, bucket list. And he shared his bucket list with me, and I looked at it, and he had Team RAAM on there. Huh, that sounds like a good idea. And that led to a little bit of here and a little bit there, and then during that race across the West in 21, Michelle Pomeyer, one of our other riders, Michelle, who's been crew chief a number of times with every time I've raced, except this year, said, you know, I'd like to give this a try one time. So Michelle is racing this year, not crewing, so she's not my crew chief this year.
Well, you know, your crew deserves that every once in a while. We have Team Viasat, who's a local team here, who this is their 12th RAAM, and one of the years, you know, they've always been a pretty competitive team. They always wanted to push it. They held the record for a year, I think, but one year they are completely a corporate sponsored team, and they said, you know what, we've all raced and raced and raced, and all these people have given as crew. All the crew got to race one year, and all the racers crewed.
Well, and that's neat. Last year, Michelle and I and Randy Catron, who is our crew chief this year, crewed for a RAAM four-person team, and 3 of the riders of last year's team are on our crew this year.
That's very cool. That's super cool. Well, we certainly wish you the best. I'm sure you'll be great out there. I mean, you got some experience in Buckley. I'm not sure he knows. Well, he does know how to race team because he did do that. But he's a strong solo rider. So
he definitely is.
When in doubt, just make him ride.
I think we'll put him on after we do the parade start, and we'll take him off in Mount Airy.
That sounds like a pretty solid plan. I don't know that he'll agree with that. All right, Carl. So you gathered together a group of folks, a bunch of rookies, to raise money for an awareness for Tutapona, your nonprofit. How did you get them to buy in, or why RAAM? Why? There's a lot of other things to go do to raise money, but why did you choose RAAM, and how did you get these people to buy into it?
Well, they're all cyclists. They all love cycling. They're all very competitive guys. And then 2 years ago, in 2021, we held an event, just a fundraiser for Tutapona, called the Ride for Refugees. And at that point, there were over 80 million displaced people on the planet. So we said, we're going to have 8 guys right across the United States in 8 days to benefit 80 million displaced people. So we kind of did our own event, and as we started telling people about it, they're like, that sounds like RAAM. Kind of, well, not really, because we're not competing against other teams. It was just us trying to do it in 8 days, and that was a great experience. It did a lot to raise awareness for the work of Tutapona, and it was very successful. And I really didn't do it with the plan of doing RAAM, but as we started doing it, I started getting that kind of itch and that feel and that excitement about potentially doing RAAM. And so, but it felt like a big leap to go from our own little event to join RAAM. So we spent the last year really thinking about it and planning it, and all of the riders from that Ride for Refugees came, with the exception of one, and we got another rider who's super strong from this area, and so we're just really excited about doing it.
That's super cool. We hope we can elevate your your nonprofit and some charity money coming into you. That we think that's fantastic. And the good thing about it is that having ridden across the country in 8 days, you know what it's like. So you at least have a feel for what's going on. Is there anything you're like looking forward to or not looking forward to along the course here?
Well, it'll be a different course that we're doing. We did a southern tier route, so we're going off course quite a bit. But Yeah, I mean, just the whole rhythm of doing 24 hours a day, you know, nonstop. I was really surprised in that event how it just, you lose track of the days, you lose track of the hour. It just feels like one really long day, you know, this whole event. And so I'm excited about kind of getting back into that rhythm and getting the teams out there and competing and pushing hard and doing the best we can.
Yeah, and that's great. I mean, it is. It's a really interesting rhythm you get into, and even on the production side, we lose track of what day it is. I can barely remember. But we're super happy you made the choice to join us. That's fantastic.
Thanks. We're super excited to be here.
Cool. And Lacey. Oh man, see what happens to me?
It's only the beginning.
Well, no, I've actually been out here for a week already.
Okay, touche.
It's sort of the beginning. So you're not just, like, obviously you got 4 super strong ladies racing for you.
We do.
We know you got some bike racing experience, but you're also doing some work for a little bit of nonprofit work for Adaptive Adventures. Why don't you give us a little lowdown on that?
Yeah, so Adaptive Adventures is our nonprofit partner that we chose this year. It's important for us to be able to give back to the community. So with their nonprofit, what Adaptive does is they help veterans or disabled people be able to get back on the bike. So whether it's a hand cycle or a recumbent bike, they make that possible and adapt the bike to that individual. So after my accident, it was important for us to partner with a charity that spoke to that because I was so close to being paralyzed myself. So being able to give back in that manner was important.
And you guys, all of you have been doing a ton of like pre-ride, like pre-race type, but community rides, and trying to get people out involved with you guys and supportive. How's that been going for you?
Yeah, so we did, through our fundraising, we did a series of social rides, so we're trying to pull people out into the community. We reach through to our nonprofit as well as our social media reach. Unfortunately, weather was not on our side for those. So,
no, it was not.
It was a little more challenging, but it was good to get out. And then we did a partner ride with Adaptive Adventures. And we were able to go to one of their events and to see the reach that they have in their community and how many people they're really helping was incredible to see. So it's been really good to get out and mix with the community and kind of share our story and why we're doing this and what we're doing it for.
Yeah, and Love, Sweat, and Gears has been such a fantastic team throughout the years. I know you've been involved with Julie for a while, but the whole organization that she's put together is fantastic. So has she kind of prepped you for the Beyond Durango part of this? Are you ready for that?
I don't know, Coach. What do you think?
Where's Coach? Oh, she's hiding back there.
She's hiding back there.
She says you're ready, so...
She has kicked our butts during this training session, so we are ready and we are prepared.
Good. She told you the Appalachians are nothing like the Rockies, right?
Yep. I've heard rumors that we have a couple of our team members have crewed for RAAM, so they have updated us on that piece as well.
Good. Don't let them give you the crappy section by Hanover. Let someone else do that.
Okay, Sancho, that one's yours.
Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it, and I'm not going to take up any more of your time because I want you to go get on the bike, rest, ride, and see you all Saturday at noon for the start. So thank you again, and I will see you all in a couple days.
Thank you.